Good morning, everybody. Just a quick update on what's going on, really quick with this episode. First off, I'm just talking with my friend Jack here about role playing and the good old times when I first got into role playing. One of the big things I just wanted to mention really quick is that I live out in the middle of the woods now, and I have to use a hotspot for my internet. So my recording might be a little janky at times. I did my best to clear it up. I appreciate you guys listening anyways. Thank you.
All right, so basically, Jack, this whole point of this podcast is to just talk about role playing and like how we got into role playing and the things that we like about role playing and the things that we hate about role playing. But I really want to talk about how we met before I knew you as Jack the DM.
Do you want me to give you my end first?
Yes, I want to, if you don't mind, go ahead and just introduce yourself and just say quickly what you do role playing wise, and then just jump into it.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Jack Shaw. I use Horse Thief a lot online now. But let's see. I don't want to get into like how I started yet, but early on it was like a lot of para RP with like paragraph stuff. And then like I don't remember if it was like super early high school, like freshman year, or maybe even like the end of middle school. One of my friends was like, "Hey, let's play Werewolf, the Awakening." I think it was the Awakening or something like that.
Werewolf the Reckoning.
Maybe that's what it was. It was one of the White Wolf,
right?
World of Darkness werewolf games. And he's just like, "Hey, let's play that." I'm just like, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's like Pretend, except you get to kill things." And I'm like, "That sounds awesome." So that was my introduction to role playing, and then eventually I got met more people through that friend who played other role playing systems. Like I think the first one with like the major group that I played like all through high school with was the Song of Fire and Ice role playing game. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I'm just like, "Hey, we're at a party, right? And like we're supposed to be like doing stuff. I guess my character would want to find some random lady to bang." This is before I knew what Game of Thrones was. I had no idea. I was completely on brand.
That's pretty on brand.
But then it became a joke that my character wanted to bang everything. I'm like, "No, it was just the one lady at the party. Like, what else was I supposed to do?"
And now the running joke is, "Oh my god, I'm 12."
That is not a good thing to put next to that.
We will explain that later, but continue. I'm so sorry.
But yeah, then I played basically all through high school and then off and on since then. The last I'm gonna say 4 years, I've had like a pretty consistent group. So I've been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition for the last 4 years.
Mostly just tabletop stuff.
Yes, tabletop roleplay. I don't really touch what would you call your World of Warcraft roleplay?
MMO role playing, like forum role playing, MMO role playing, stuff like that.
Oh, I guess there's a little bit of weird roleplay that just kind of happens naturally sometimes. I play this game called Hell Let Loose. It's a very World War II squad-based game. And there's just stuff that that happens in that game sometimes where it's just like, "Oh, you're playing as the Americans, you're like trying to run, like I'm playing as the medic, some guy gets shot next to me, he goes down and he's like, 'Oh, medic!' He just starts screaming like, 'Oh my god, kids, medic, come here, medic!' And I'm like, 'Oh my god.'"
Do you respond at all, like in character when
I will be like, "I got you, man. I'm gonna get you. Like, I'll make sure your wife gets to see you again." And there's also times where it's like someone will go down, there's no medic nearby, and they'll be screaming for one, and I'm not playing as medic, and I'm just like, I would roleplay going over and stealing their watches while they're like laying their bleeding out.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, Jack.
that one's always fun. Where it's like, oh yeah, don't worry about. Oh, I guess you're not gonna need this anymore. It's like, no, that's for my son.
All right, Jack. Tell the story, please.
Oh, okay. So I was just getting into a specific fandom in the early 2010s, like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not gonna say what fandom it was, but there's a lot of pastel colors involved.
We would
small
horse around
horses.
a lot.
Small horses and pastel colors.
And it was a lot of we had a pony up a lot. That's for sure.
Well, I don't remember if I had a job at the time. Economy sucked. I had just gotten out of high school, and I could applying to things every week got like fucking nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there was a lot of things to apply to in Fort Walton.
Right.
But beyond that, I think it was just like I found a local local meetup group. A local meetup group for said fandom, and we I think it was in Pensacola or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's where it was.
And then like me and Kevin, and I don't remember if I brought any. I think Rusty went. There were a few people that went.
Was Bryce there?
I don't think Bryce went. I'm pretty sure Bryce was very against specific fandom.
That's fair. I do remember Bryce being against that fandom.
I was like, okay, Bryce, I guess your masculinity is threatened. You could have that. That's fine. But I went to that meetup, and I ran into somebody at this meetup who was talking to me like, oh hey, like where are you from? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like from like Fort Walton, and he was just like, oh yeah, like I'm in Fort Walton too, we should hang out sometime. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. And we like exchanged contact information, and like maybe like I don't remember, it was like maybe a week later.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, oh man, I'm free this like today, like tonight. You should just come over and we can hang out. And I was like, okay. And I'm totally just like, okay, this guy's kind of fucking weird, but like, I don't think he's gonna murder me. So I'm just like, maybe he'll do better in a group. And I think at some point I just kind of invited you to our game night thing that we had going on. Game night I loved game night. I think it was Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
We would go to a 24-hour Whataburger and just play board games, like from like 8 p.m. to like sometimes 4 or 5 in the morning.
Sometimes even later than that.
Yeah, I remember seeing the sun come up a few times.
Oh yeah, and like there was like the breakfast people were coming in, and it's like, oh shit, we actually got to pick up and get out of here.
Yeah, because in the middle of the night, it's fine. Like there's almost nobody there except for drunk people who sometimes get angry that we exist. But anyway, once I invited this person to game night, and they kind of like integrated with the group, I'm like, okay, he seems to be doing better with kind of everybody here, and like I feel a little better. We got to know each other better, and then we became good close friends as time went on. And that person was Mr. Island Dustin here.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell my side?
Please do. I've already heard this story, and I will interject when needed.
So basically, I had just moved to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And I was really, really lonely because I had just moved there with like a couple of friends. I had just moved from New Orleans, and they convinced me to come live with them. and I was like, you know what, my life here is all sorts of backwards right now. I could actually get the chance to get away from here, so I should. So I took off and I moved in with them, and I was looking around, and my good buddy Troy told me about these colorful pastel critters on this show and how much he loved them, and he got me to watch a couple of episodes, and I was like, okay, I will watch this thing, and then slowly this show that will not be named became sort of a fascination. And then I was like, I have to find more people who like this. I must talk to more people like this. And I got on Facebook and I found like a meetup. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. There's actually like a big meetup happening. And I noticed that one of the people, because this is back when Facebook used to put the location of the of where you typed it from. I remember walking around. I was like, huh, I wonder if I'd ever meet this person. So I go to the meetup, and I meet Jack there. Jack and I hit it off. Pretty much okay. There was like a bunch of other people there as well, and I remember seeing you drive home, and I was like, oh my god, Jack lives right fucking there. Our houses touched. Like his backyard, the corner of my backyard and the corner of his backyard literally touched each other. And I remember standing on my back porch going, Jack lives right fucking there. And for about a week, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is it weird to go say hello? Is it odd to go to potentially have stalked somebody after a meetup and go to their house? Yes, that's weird.
I think you told me about this after like we had known each other for a few months.
Oh yeah, because I was like,
I'm so glad you waited to tell me about this.
Because I was like, I didn't mean to know the information. I remember one day just seeing you drive over there, and I was like, that's where Jack lives, and Jack doesn't know where I live. And it wasn't like I was purposely like, what's Jack doing? Like just peeking through your bushes and stuff like that. No, I never did anything like that intentionally. But so after the meetup and stuff like that, I remember it was Bryce, myself, you. We were driving to the house, and you dropped me off, and everyone's like, "You live here," and I was like, "Yep, I live here." And you're like, oh my god, I live like right next door. I like live like the street behind you. And I remember going, yeah, that's right. You do live right now.
We live right next to you.
What a surprise. And then I kept the secret for months. I was just so terrified of being like, hey Jack, listen, I knew where you lived before you told me.
Yeah, you. I think you waited an appropriate amount of time. It was good.
I was just so afraid of being like that one weird guy, because I know I can come off as a little weird and sometimes a little obnoxious, but I try my hardest not to be so freaking creepy. So I was like, when's a good time? And then I remember just one day going, it's been long enough. I can tell Jack. I mean, what's he gonna do at this point? Move away?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I can escape you at this point.
But yeah, after that fun time, we started playing like a lot of board games and card games together, and we played a lot of tabletops together. We've played so many different tabletops, I can't even remember them all.
All right, I think it's time for the I'm 12 story. It's not even that funny because it's not, because we built it up. It's not going to be as good.
It's not going to be as good. You're right. Do you want to tell it, or do I want to tell it?
I want to hear your version.
Okay, so we are playing. I don't know how we got obsessed with this, but we became. Elise became obsessed with Naruto at one point, and I do not know.
I watched a lot of Naruto, so that when she had suggested this, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll play that.
I forget like where this time. I actually think there was in the lore of Naruto. I remember it being a village hidden in the mist.
Yeah, and we just kind of said like, we're just gonna say this is alternate timeline, and more or less everything that happened in Naruto is more like the things that exist in it exist here, but don't worry about all the big names.
Big names, yeah. Just do what you want to do. And I, my character was a samurai weeaboo. Like it was. I remember at one point my character had like samurai action figures that got thrown out, and your character somehow wound up with them, and I was really sad that my samurai.
The ages of the character are important. We're supposed to be like the.
I think. Oh yeah.
I forget what the lowest rank is, but we're like just becoming like that lowest rank of ninja.
Yeah, and like all of our characters are super super young, just like in Naruto, where I think Naruto is like, I don't know, 14 or something like that during the timeline. But we're all like, I think I was the oldest one at like 15.
Yeah, and I was playing a 12-year-old who I forget I'm gonna keep forgetting the specific names of things, but like there's like a clan of ninjas from the Hidden in the Mist people that have like they kind of have like spidery like powers.
Yeah.
And they like spit web out of their mouth and stuff like that. So I was just like, I'm gonna play as like a 12-year-old who's really just kind of like figuring this shit out. So
I shit you not. Just to be safe, I looked it up. Naruto is 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
In the first series.
I think that's why I went with 12, was because I feel like I'm pretty sure they were really young when they became that, so I'm gonna go with like that age. But playing as like Spider Kid, I was like super sickly as well. Like I was kind of like the weakest, but I was like the moral heart of the group. And like there were times where it's like, oh, we need like 100 feet of rope to do a thing, and I'm just like, all right, give me like 5 minutes. I'm just gonna stand here and like spit web out of my mouth and just keep pulling it out and being like really kind of gross and weird for a bit. But after 5 minutes, we'll have that rope.
Literally a spider crawled across my screen as you were talking about that, and I had to remove it, as it were. So
I summoned it.
Well, listen, stop summoning spiders in my fucking room. All right. So, anyways, our characters. I remember my character being flunked like a couple of times because he was so obsessed with being a samurai. He was like, I don't want to be a ninja, Mom. I want to be a samurai. And I remember I had these two swords that weren't actually swords, and they used wind to cut things. And we also had Cole, our good pal, our best friend Cole there, who was playing a character named Hero. And I forgot how ridiculous his one move was, or what it was called. It was like rising gale over the distant mountain technique, but it was just a kick. And
yeah.
And we were doing a training exercise with the sensei. I can't remember if it was like supposed to be a test or something like that. But at one point, Jack's character gets. I remember stuff being on fire, where your character was just surrounded by oil and fire, and your character is like laying down on the ground, and you have something in your eyes, if I can remember correctly.
The sensei had thrown a flashbang at the group.
Oh, that's right, and you were blind, and you were just laying on the floor screaming, "I'm 12."
Yeah, no, everybody was like. Everybody was like, all right. So, the flashbang hit us. Everybody else took their turn. Like, I shake off the flashbang and do this cool thing, and I'm just like, I lay on the ground and cry. And everyone else is like, what? What are you doing? You're blinded, but you could like still do stuff. I'm just like, and I just screamed, "I'm 12."
And I specifically remember you rolling away.
I just kind of like rolled off of it. Like, I'm just gonna roll away and continue to cry.
The point of the story is that we've been in so many different stories together, like tabletop role playing games together. Like we've done one that was that aforementioned show that shall not be named. We've done the Naruto one. We've done some I don't want to say Gundam ones, but we did do like giant robot ones and all these crazy different stories.
Yeah, we had used the Besom system a couple times.
A good amount of times, actually.
Which was super broken if you just let people do what they wanted.
That's what happened to the samurai. Like I remember doing something with my samurai, and Elias looks at me and goes, "Can you make your character a little less powerful?" And I was like, "But my swords, they call for battle." Like a dumbass. Excuse my language. But I don't know. I said excuse my language. This is my podcast. Go somewhere else if you don't like it. That's a joke. I'll leave this out in editing. I even tried to I think I did Pathfinder a couple of times. I remember
you ran a couple of Pathfinder, and the running trope was we started on a train every time you ran a game.
Yes, thank you. I always started us off on a train. I don't know why. I just did. And I think Final Fantasy has something to do with that, but I absolutely not sure.
And it was like, okay, like every time we started, I'm like, okay, is the train going to crash this time? Or are we going to arrive at a station? Is it just going to get stopped? What's going to happen to the train?
Oh, yeah. Another good friend of ours, Josh Nankaro, he also ran a couple of games for us. Like, I remember a Star Wars campaign where I was playing a droid named Dirk Rod Kickass.
Dirk Rod Kickass was indeed Kickass.
And he wound up as an ornament on a spaceship.
Yeah, he got scrapped, and we were like, well, he could be a hood ornament, I guess.
God, I missed that. God, am I missing anything? We've done so many. Like, I'm pretty sure we did, like, Werewolves and Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh, yeah. The Masquerade. We did one game where you ran. It was, like, World of Darkness, and I was playing as, like, a cowboy in Japan.
I remember that.
I was like, I'm gonna do Last Samurai, except I don't care about the samurai thing. I just want to shoot stuff.
I miss those. Good times. Miss those times, Jack. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
What have you like? And then after like a while, I left back to New Orleans to go help Dad out with his business, and I stopped playing tabletops for like the longest time, and I diverged to MMO role playing most of all. I'd already done it before, but I was like, oh wow, I'm back in New Orleans, and all the people I know are either gone or passed away, and there's always Choi and Gary, but they're busy all the time. And so I was like, I guess I'm just gonna start role playing in World of Warcraft again, and Guild Wars, and all this other stuff. And what did you do?
Oh geez. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I moved away before you did. You and Krissa and all of them did.
Mm-hmm. I moved away before you did because I remember I specifically owed you money, and on like near the end when I realized I don't have to fucking pay rent anymore, I handed you the money back and I said, Master has given Davi a sock. Davi is free, and then we went to go play game night.
I absolutely do not remember that at all.
Oh, I do. It was like one of our last nights there.
Okay. We might have left around like just around the same time then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I left Florida for the better pastures of Ohio.
I like how you went to the snowy fields and I went to the swamp.
Yeah, it snows here sometimes. I'm in like Cincinnati area, so it doesn't snow all the time. I'm saying that, and it's like 24 degrees out right now.
Oh, it's freaking cold out right now. I hate it.
But the when I moved up here, I think I just didn't. No, I moved up here with Josh Nankro.
Mm-hmm.
So like I at least had him and some online games going on. Like I picked up Roll20 around that time. And started playing games online, like tabletop RPGs on online. And I think it was about 4 years ago when like I met some people at my current job that play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, oh, well, I've been learning the 5th edition system recently because it's the newest thing. Josh and I think we're kind of testing it out a little bit, and then that group became like my main group that I'm still playing with. Like I think we're a little bit past our 1 year mark on a campaign that I'm running.
Yeah.
So like we're consistently doing stuff. Like it's a good group.
Yeah, it sounds like a good group. You were talking about throwing. What was it you talking last Friday? Friday, you were talking about throwing giants and dragons at them.
Okay, if you guys know anything about D&D 5th edition, they are a group of like 5 level 5s.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at like they stumble across some treasure that's hit like stuck in the ice, and they're like, "Oh, let's start grabbing this." And I'm like, "Haha!" There's like they kind of knew it was like a dragon lair that they found with the dragon not there. So they're like, "Oh, Jack, wouldn't it be so mean to throw like a really big dragon at us? Like we should probably kill whatever shows up." So I throw an ancient white dragon at them. They start running the moment it shows up. As they're running away, some giants, some ice, frost giants. I think it was like a group of 4 frost giants that were hidden in snow near the dragon's lair, pop up out of the snow and start throwing boulders at the dragon while while the party's in between them. And eventually the dragon flies away because it it didn't like being hit by a bunch of boulders, and the but it was after the dragon got a breath weapon attack off and killed the ranger's pet outright and downed 3 of the group. So I was being a little mean to them, but I need to make sure like the theme of this game is people die a lot, and it sucks where you're at. So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm just trying to make sure that I keep that theme going.
I was about to say, do you have a lot of player deaths in your games?
Weirdly enough, not. I think I've killed 2 people, but there was not actually a permanent death. Like actually like killed 2 people. One person came back due to some shenanigans that they pulled with a ghost.
Yeah.
And the second one was during a quest where they were supposed to be brought back if they died.
Yeah.
So, weirdly enough, I don't think I've killed anybody in that game permanently yet. I did have a total party kill in the last game that I ran before that, though.
Oh goodness. Actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was a slog because it was like one died, and then the next encounter someone else died, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh no. Hold on. I remember something else. Like, did we? No, we were. Okay, I'm sorry. I wanna go back to like another game. I distinctly remember a game where I played as a rat and you played as a hunter or something. We were all criminals.
Or was it the evil game?
Was it? Yeah, it was the evil campaign. I played like this. I played like this rat. Yeah, I played a rat girl named Rosalind.
And I was playing as Haywood Ink Heart, I think is what it was.
And you were gonna feed Rosalind to a toad.
Yes.
I remember this now. I remember this. There was a giant toad that was attacking the group, and you picked up my rat girl, and you were like, because my rat girl is only like what, 3 feet tall, and
I'm playing like a full size human with like pretty good strength. I think it was I was a fighter of some sort.
Yeah, and I distinctly remember you picking up my character and like trying to feed her to the toad.
And like, well, if you get eaten, we can get away.
Oh god, the evil campaign. Who ran the evil campaign?
Gary was running it.
God, I miss those times.
That was I think it was a few sessions later. We were eating ice cream together, and I think we were starting to get to the point where like our characters might be dating.
Remember that?
We're not sure. We're not going to explore that too much.
Oh, good. I remember this. Oh god. I wanted to ask you how I wanted to ask you, like, from the time that we started to role play together, like way back when we were all doing our own DM stuff. Because you DM'd a couple of games, I DM'd a couple of games. Alice DM'd some stuff. Maddie DM'd some stuff. How have you changed since like then to like now, DM wise? Because you DM a lot more than you just play, right?
Yeah, I definitely DM a lot more. And something that I've noticed in a lot of role-playing games, at least the tabletop ones, is I actually prefer running the game most of the time. I know everyone's like, oh, forever DM, I want to actually play the game. I'm pretty sure it's because I've got ADHD, and I really like the fact that if I'm DMing, I'm constantly doing something and interacting with the game. But if I'm playing the game, sometimes other people are talking to the DM, and I have to sit there patiently and wait for my turn.
That's true. And with this, you're, like, it's always your turn. You are the DM. You're always going.
Yeah. Oh, that was like the tiniest complaint I have about my current group is they don't roleplay very much. The actual roleplay, it's mostly like they're very mechanical.
I can always just anonymously link this episode to them if you want me to.
Please don't.
And just like cut out this one little part and show it to them. And maybe they'll roleplay a little bit more for you. I love the role-playing aspect. I remember at one point during the Naruto campaign, my character had a love interest, and it was so awkward to roleplay that out with Elise. And like in game and like in MMOs and stuff like that, oh, I love romance role playing. But in real life, like face to face, where I have to look Elise in the eyes as I casually explain what my character is doing, is above and beyond awkward for me. I can't do it.
Okay, I have a thing here that's very important about romance and tabletop in-person games.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to say a lot. You don't have to explain everything. If you're running that game or you're playing in that game and like your character is starting to get a little like close to another character, like either an NPC or another player character, it's perfectly fine to say, our characters go off to somewhere else for a minute. What happens? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. That's our busyness.
And after the long rest, we show back up and we're ready to go.
And that is that.
And that's all you really have to explain. Everybody can fill in the blanks.
Have you had a lot of experience? Have you had a lot of DM experience in that regards, where it's like you're trying to make the players feel comfortable and you're just trying to get the game going and you're doing your best so that everybody is just like set and the game is going?
Oh, you're talking about like just like boundaries in game?
Yeah, because I've always felt like an important part of the DM. Well, at least I've always taken it upon myself to try to make things as like as nice and fluid as possible, just so that the players themselves can enjoy the game and not like push things on people, or at the very least not feel like something has to be absolutely said. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. So there's a tool, like a safety tool that you can look up online. If you look up I think it was Lines and Veils. It was Lines and Veils is what it's called. Mm-hmm. So this is a thing you could do prior to the game. It's best to do it prior to the game. And if you have a group that's very okay with the idea of doing this, it helps. I have some more, I guess I'll just call them free spirit. They don't really push too much into the like, oh yeah, we should totally do that sort of thing.
I pulled it up and it's talking about.
It is a great tool to use. The idea is, if there is a subject you do not want to see in the game at all, you write it in as a line. Like if you just if you're just afraid of spiders for whatever reason, and you just don't want to hear the word spider, and just write it in as a line, and the GM should and the rest of the players should respect that they don't they're just not going to come up. We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about.
We're not even going to allude that they exist.
Right. Yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about because I would have loved this checklist on the last game I played, where I did not DM. A good friend of mine, Cosby, was the one who DM'd this one, and I thought that one of these things would not pop up ever because it's like it very rarely pops up at all anywhere. And I especially did not expect this game to get as dark and gritty as it did. And I had to tell Cosby, I'm sorry I can't do this because of this one thing. Like, I know it might seem like special, like I'm a special baby boy and I'm kind of whining here, but I can't get past this point. Can we just like, take this back and just never do that again, please? And Cosby completely understood. Like, I didn't have to argue. Like there was no like but what if no it was like, okay, not a big deal, we'll change it up and we'll just continue on like normal and you won't have to worry about that again. So if I wish I had known about this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like that, whatever that is for you would be a hard line. It just doesn't come up. Don't have it in the game. Veils, I use veils a lot. I'm very okay with a lot of things not being. I have a very short list of lines. I do have some things that are over a line, but I don't have a ton. I have a lot more veils. Like any sort of sexual content or anything that would start to feel a little awkward between friends talking about, like if anything you would feel awkward kind of talking to a friend about. Most of those are behind a veil, and what a veil is we acknowledge that this thing exists, but we don't have to explain everything. Like what I was talking about earlier with the romance is, you're flirting with a barmaid and she invites you to her room. Okay, and then you spend the night with her, and you come back, and you're back with the party. We don't have to talk about exactly what happened. There's a veil. Like we know something happened, but we don't need to go into the details. I kind of have a veil with I think it's, yeah. I hate any sort of torture scene, like just intentionally inflicting pain onto another thing just to cause them pain. I can't do that. So I understand that there are times in games where it makes sense that you've captured an enemy and you would like to get information from them. I'm very okay with saying, make a check and I'll tell you what you got from them. We're not going to go through the whole process. You don't have to tell me what you did.
Camera pans right, very far away from this person or outside the room, and you don't have to talk about what happened inside the room. Here's the information you got. Go ahead and just use that as you will. I like that a lot.
That is a tool that I use a lot. I find it very helpful to use lines and veils.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Is this just like one of the things that you picked up on, like as you learned how to DM better?
I think I read a lot of like random articles online, and I think I had come across one talking about like tabletop safety tools.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one that I came across, and I'm like, oh, this is great because I already kind of do some of this. It was just a more like spelled out like how it worked.
Right.
I'm trying to think of like other things that I did that were like, oh, this helps. I tried to do something with, it's called like an X card.
X card?
It's basically like an X card, like the letter X. It's just sort of a thing that, like a card. You like if you're in person, you have a card on the table, or everyone can have their own card, or whatever. Online, you can kind of have it as like You can set it up in like in some games where it's like it is anonymously posted, but it'll show up in chat.
Right.
An X card is basically just, hey, whatever is happening at this moment, let's please move on. It's like this thing is uncomfortable. Let's please move. Let's move away from this current subject. I don't think I've ever actually had anybody use it, but it is another one of those safety tools that can be good for a group to avoid any triggers or just feelings of being uncomfortable. There's no like questions or anything asked. It's just like if an X card is put out, it's just okay. Whatever's happening, we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Just respect the other person enough to say, okay, we don't need to worry about what was happening.
I feel like we've definitely gone through a lot of growing up from like what we used to be like when we first started to now. Of course, I mean, a lot of us had to. I won't say forced to mature, but a lot of us did. Obviously, I had a son. I had to mature for his sake. And I feel like if I were to sit down with my younger self who was DMing and play through his game, I would have had a lot more like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this conversations with him. Do you ever feel like that? Yeah, like what if younger Jack was DMing older Jack? Like would you like, because I feel like if young Dustin was DMing old Dustin, like a group of older Dustins, as we've like progressively gotten, as I've progressively gotten older, like I would have had a lot more to say to myself, not only in the terms of like, hey, here's some things you can do to make the game a little bit easier, but also, hey, maybe we shouldn't go into details about this one scene that may make everyone extremely uncomfortable.
I don't think a lot of those things that I did were just I already kind of did in some form.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the safety tools that I used were sort of there, but now they're more like, okay, I can spell them out for people. So I don't think there would be too much of an issue there. There would be times where I would squint at younger Jack and be like, did you even actually roll the dice for that? Are you using an actual stat block, or are you just making stuff up right now?
Hold on. Now, okay, I am still infamous for making things up. Like, and it's not even a bad thing, because like sometimes I just don't want my players to die right off the bat because I rolled a 20 against them. I have lied about getting good dice rolls so many times. Or I'm sorry, lied about getting bad dice rolls so many times because I just been like, oh no, they're not having fun, and my enemy group is just wiping the floor with my friends, and like I want my friends to have fun. I want them to enjoy the story. Oh god, I rolled a 1, guys. The robot exploded. I don't know. Oh god, that's just so man, it sucks. All right, you guys, go ahead. Next in line.
I've gotten to the point where like I will have the enemy sometimes do dumb things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've fudged a roll for at least a year.
Oh god, I have.
I think I've just been like, hey, I just crit you. I'm sorry. And then I proceed to roll like max damage on the damage dice, and I'm just like, oops, guess you're down. And he's like, I was at full health.
You're ruthless, Jack. That's what you've become.
I
remember Sweet Jack, who used to give us a great story about a cartoon of Pascal animals that will not be named, and we had so much fun role playing in that. And now you're this evil tyrant who has to be taken down, Jack. I hope you understand. I'm sorry.
I don't think I had a single stat block for any of the creatures that you guys fought in that game.
Really? God, it was getting so much fun too. Like we had just
that was one of those like we were so leaning into the story so much that I was just like any encounter they have, I'll just decide like okay, that person did some cool stuff, that person did some cool stuff. They beat up this monster. Yeah, it's probably gonna die right about now.
Have you? Oh gosh, yeah. God, that was so much fun. Oh man, I know I keep saying it, and the people listening to the podcast will have absolutely no idea what I'm saying. But this is just one of those one of these sessions are those games where you're just having so much fun with a bunch of friends, exploring a story, just doing some stupid, silly stuff in a universe. And I don't even remember why we stopped. I think we just got busy and just couldn't keep up with it anymore. But
Yeah, the way that we set it up was there was no schedule. It was just if all of us were free and we wanted to, we would play it. And eventually,
you,
just got to a point where I think
you got
it
two
was just because
jobs.
I think I had 2 jobs, just couldn't do it anymore. And then like not too long after that, like once I no longer had 2 jobs, I ended up moving to Ohio. So
Yeah, not long after all that. I remember. You bought a computer off those two jobs.
I did. I like computers. I
I
have a really good one right now.
Yeah, I have a decent one. It's okay now. Like I'm glad I can actually play Phasmophobia now with you guys and not just sit here going, "Oh, I wish I could play Phasmophobia, but my computer's a brick and I can't."
Uh, I guess there's that aspect of role playing is there's just the natural stuff
Hmm.
that comes up in like video games, like when we're
Oh,
playing Phasmophobia,
and we're
and
actually getting into it. Yeah.
I'm just like hiding in the corner, and I'm like, Dustin, I'm scared.
Hold on. That fear is real. Okay, I don't know. Like, okay, I am a okay. You may not believe me. Anybody who is listening to this, you may not believe me. I am a brave boy. Jack is a brave boy. But when it comes to Phasmophobia, the very first night that I ever played it with Jack, I stayed on the truck the whole time, and I flat out just told him, "Dude, I'm scared. I don't want to go inside. I am afraid. I am a scaredy baby right now."
Yeah, I think I most of the time, like half the time that I'm like being afraid in that game, it's like I'm just trying to play it up a little bit
No,
for
I'm not.
the fun. I
No,
because
I'm not.
I've played it enough that I'm kind of not afraid of it. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm about to die, and I'm
Uh,
like a little panicking a little bit because of that. But
No, that fear is real. I'm not getting into any sort of character. I am when I go inside and I start flashing, turning on my light and like looking around for shit. I'm just like listening to things, and every single bit makes me jump. There is no role playing for me. I am truly terrified of that game because I am a person who gets into the quality of stuff very easily, and Phasmophobia has some excellent audio quality, and it I like it so much it genuinely freaks me out. And then you start hearing the whispers and the shit and the heart beating, and I'm just like, nope. I'm going back to the truck.
I've gotten to the point in games where like I'm playing like Hell Let Loose. There's like uh I get like shot at and somebody else just shoots the person that was shooting at me and I was about to die and I just look over, I'm like, yeah, fuck off.
Oh god. Oh man. I wanted to ask you a quick question about just like players in general. And if you've had any well, I don't want to say bad experiences, but like what have your experiences been DMing? And also I had another question actually.
Mhm.
Before we even lead into that one. So is it okay if I talk about your ADHD a little bit?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so you recently discovered that you're ADHD, like a year now?
It's been like 6 months.
Yeah. The reason why I asked is because like uh, before you pre-diagnosis and post-diagnosis, has your style changed at all?
I don't think my GM style has changed. More or less, it's just I've gotten a better understanding of myself, and I'm like, oh, I understand why I have that behavior now. But I don't know if I've actually integrated that into my GMing too much. I think it just I kind of like grew like had a better understanding of why I liked GMing way more than playing, and it's the constant things happening.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Not to say that I don't like playing a game. It's just sometimes I'm like sitting there like, okay, please be patient, don't say anything. Yes, that person got that rule wrong, but they don't really seem to care about it, so don't like interrupt the game.
Right. No, I understand because I remember how many times did we all bring our Game Boys and our I said Game Boys, I'm sorry. Our not Switches, which is one of the thing. What did we all have?
PlayStations?
No, we had they weren't
Phones?
Game Boys. They're not Game Boys.
PSPs? That doesn't sound right.
No, not PSPs. You know what I'm talking about. Like we all brought our own little, whatever it is. Like we all brought our own things, like our PSPs and our phones and our tablets, and we would be playing on them while the thing happened. And now I'm much better about giving the attention that the DM might need. But my own ADHD, I have to fidget. Like I need to do something. So I try to be a little bit more respectful about it this time. Like I'm not like on my phone constantly. I don't know if you ever remember this. Back when we were playing I think it was the Evil campaign with Gary. But
Yeah.
we I would sit there and play Skyrim constantly since we were over Roll20. I would just play Skyrim while you guys were talking, and I would follow along. And then I would I'd pause and I'd shift back, and then even though I was following along in my head, I'd be like, "What the fuck are we doing?
I don't.
How did we get here?"
I don't think I remember you being that distracted, so it probably wasn't horrible. I do remember a few games that I ran for other people where I'm like, okay, it was like over Roll20, and I'm like, okay, you were obviously like playing some other game at the moment. Because you have no idea what's happening.
Why are you being stabbed through the? Why am I being through this? Why am I being stabbed through the chest? Why are you being stabbed through the chest? I explained it. Can you tell me?
It's like, yeah, everyone else knows why we're here.
Everyone else knows why you're being stabbed through the chest. Why don't you?
But it's one of those like, okay, that's minorly annoying, and then like maybe just talk to them after the game, like, hey, please pay attention to the game a little bit better.
Yeah. No, damn. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like I like playing the game with you. Just please follow along a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that conversation is like really all you have to have, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, most of the time people are there to enjoy a story and to have fun with the game. I DMing is a blessing. I love DMing, and I sometimes wish I did it more. But in MMOs, you can luckily in MMOs it doesn't take much to become a DM, and you just get a group together and you lead them through a story, and everybody's very grateful that you're leading them through a story. It's a little bit more difficult for tabletops, because of course you have to find the group, and then you have to schedule the group, and everybody has to get to the place together.
Getting a good group together is the hardest part about running a game.
Oh god, even when you have very close friends, you have to light some candles and sacrifice a goat, and god, maybe everybody's schedule will kind of line up,
and you're able to like play for like 4 hours. For
like a week, and then or 2 weeks. God, DMing games every 2 weeks is such a nightmare because I'm like, you have all this time to prepare and create this vast, intricate story with all these cool mechanics, and then suddenly player B can't make it.
Oh yeah,
and there's only 4 players. There's A through D, or A through C even, and one of them is gone, and it's just like, I don't want to do this, but just 2 of you.
I had a thing planned for this person.
I had a thing planned for them. They were important. They were integral.
They were gonna find their long lost mom this session.
No. Yeah, God, I feel it. Oh man, I love DMing, but God, it's a nightmare sometimes.
Minor thing. So I noticed you say like DMing a lot.
Yeah.
That's sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons holdover. I think almost every other game calls it GMing, like game master, as opposed to dungeon master.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
I'm not correcting you. It's just that,
no.
that's a terminology thing.
How dare you correct me? Do you know who I am? I roleplay every day, goddamn. No, I'm joking. Not about roleplaying every day. I do actually roleplay every single day now. I just have so much fun roleplaying in MMOs. Like when my son goes to sleep, that's it. I cease to exist as myself. Either I'm working on content, I'm roleplaying, or I'm roleplaying while working on content because there's a lot of downtime. But
I guess I have a question for you then.
Sure.
Why do you roleplay?
Oh God, I could write a book about this. I could at the very least I could write a very long essay about this. Well, for various reasons. So when I first started getting into role playing, it was World of Warcraft back when Burning Crusade, right before Burning Crusade released. I got into role playing in World of Warcraft. And it was because I was lonely, and that is the pure honest truth. I was a kid in the middle of New Orleans. The apartment complex that we lived at kept getting flooded. And it was close to one of the really bad areas of New Orleans. Like there's lots of shootings and just it was just not a good time to be outside. If you were to go outside, you understood the risk that something may happen. So I just stayed inside, and I, again, lonely person, and this is way before I met you guys. And I saw just a couple of people role playing, and oh wait, no, that's not entirely true. I there was a GameStop like a 2-hour walk away from my house. There was like a GameStop, and I would go there every other day to not every other day, like at least twice a week to see the people there. There was Bobo and Lygia, and God, there were some other people there too. And they were like, come join our guild. And I was like, okay, I have a brick of a potato for a computer. And by that, I mean, people were astounded that I could play World of Warcraft on this thing. It was so bad that I couldn't get into dungeons because my character lagged so much. But if I turned the graphics down all the way and there were no other programs and I sort of zoomed in on the character just right, I could actually have a smooth game. It wasn't perfect, but it was, as long as there wasn't like 100 other people around me, it was doable. And I remember they were like, hey, we're going to try role playing. And I got into it with them. And they were voice acting role playing. And that's how I found out that I was like really shy about it. And this is back when Ventrilo, was it Ventrilo?
Ventrilo was I think that was it.
Yeah, Ventrilo was the thing.
Everyone just called it Vent, like Vent.
Vent, that's right, Vent chat, yeah. And like they were doing it over Ventrilo, and I was just like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't feel like I have the capacity to describe what my character is doing using my voice. I can type it out, no problem, and I can make these long, intricate stories like freehand. But speaking it, I was a stuttering mess back then. I was fucking barely 15, maybe. Again, that's 16 years ago. Oh my god, that was 16 years ago. So I found a bunch of role players and I joined them. And that's when I started. So the reason why I got into it is just I was a lonely boy and I wanted to experience stories with people. And then finally, me and my father moved out of the bad place that we were in, and we moved to a better place off of West Esplanade, not near Kenner. God, where was this place at? I can't remember where it was, but it was a much better, not super better, but it was better.
It was marginally better, which is improvements. Yay!
Yeah, and we moved in there, and I remember there was I was still playing. I was still doing World of Warcraft role playing, and I found out as I was walking one day, because I didn't have a vehicle back then, so I walked everywhere. I was out looking for a job, and got a job, and every day I would pass this place called Galactic Goods. I was like, what the hell is this place? So I go in there, and they're role playing, or not, they're role playing. The Sunday that I go in there, is it Sunday, Monday, one of those days, that I go in there, and there's a group of people sitting at the table, and they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was 4.0 is when I first started playing D&D. And that is when I met Choi. My very first interaction with Choi ever. And we still joke about this today. Do you remember Death Note?
Yes.
There was a book about Death Note. It was like the BB murder cases. And I was sat down because I was really interested in this. Like I want to play D&D. I like role playing. I like stories, and I wanted to see what this was about. And I sit down next to Choi. Choi, without saying a word to me, we have never spoken, yanks the D&D, the BB murder Death Note book from my hands, and nearly takes a pin to it. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I have people I need to kill." That was my very first interaction with Choi, who is arguably one of my best friends right now. And my whole life. I they're like between like you, Maddie, Krissa, Choi, Gary, a few other of my friends here, like you guys have all become the pinnacle of my life. That is how I met Troy.
Yeah, I'm not super close with Troy, but I like he's definitely like a good guy. Like I'm glad to know Troy.
Oh yeah. Also, and again, Troy is the reason that you and I met, because he is the reason why I got into colorful pastel critters that shall not be named.
I was in dark points of the internet that brought me to it.
Oh God, you poor. No, Troy called me and he's like, "There's a show, and I need you to watch it." And I'm like, "What show, Troy?" And he explained it to me. And I remember, because I was getting on the bus to go to work. I worked at a HiHop at the time, and I was already running late. And Troy was like, "I need you to watch this show with me." And I go, "What show?" And he told me the show. And I was like, "God damn it, Troy! This is a joke. This is a joke, obviously." And I was like, "Listen, man, like, I don't have time to joke around. I got to get to work, and I got to go. And I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone while I'm on the bus." So I hung up the phone, and later on, I remember he picked me up and we went to go hang out, and he goes, "Ren," because that's what he knew me as, "I need you to watch this show. Please watch this freaking show with me." And that's how that started.
I really don't like how much of our origin stories are tied into that show.
I don't like it either. But that's ultimately how it happened. Choi nearly wrote my book when I first met him, and from there it's just been a cascade.
So to kind of like answer my own question as to like why I roleplay, and like I kind of see it in like your explanation as to why you roleplay as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like something I've been thinking about a lot recently, is like there's a element of escapism to it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
It's just like, hey, whatever's happening in my life right now, I don't have to think about it because I'm not me. I'm Gerald Goodfeather here to murder the Lich.
Or Haywood, or Rosalind, or Sylvirus, or whoever we are at that time.
Yeah, like you're, and I think, it could be partially the ADHD. I have dyslexia as well, so I'm pretty good at like envisioning things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm thinking about a game, I'm 100% in that game. Like I don't think about the things happening around me. I don't think about like things I have to do in like 3 hours, or like problems I might be having in life. Like the game's all that exists. So I kind of feel like that's part of
No,
why
I agree.
why I'm like why I play a lot of role playing games.
I get it. Right now I'm a part of this guild in Elder Scrolls Online called the Divine Conclave, and I guess if you were to sum it up in words, it's a religious militant order. Um, but they do like 30 events a week, and I'm not joking. They do quite literally like I'm missing a couple right now just doing this podcast, and that's fine because I don't need to be involved in those. But they have so many different events. They have role playing PvP against other guilds, and they have like stories, and they have like organizations within the thing, and there are like hundreds of people just in the guild, and dozens online at any given moment. And it's really nice because, as you know, I've had to go through a lot in the last couple of months. Hell, I've had to the last 3 months from the moment my son was born to up to this point. I've had to deal with a lot of pressure, especially being a full-time single father. And when I get online, my son is asleep beside me. He's taken care of. He's well loved. I've given him as many kisses as I possibly can, and he's finally fallen asleep. And I can get online and just spend a good night role playing as Runs with Calibers, who is a Argonian, or I can even get on Final Fantasy and role play on there, or I could just play a simple game or something like that. It's role playing definitely has helped me get past a lot of the issues I had. One of the ways I used RP to benefit me is because like back when we first met, like I was okay, but there was a lot of things I was dickish about, and I have used role playing to understand why like certain things are not okay, or how what I did could have been a bit antagonistic, as it were.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like I fully think that role-playing games are a form of group therapy.
Oh god, that's a great way to put it.
It is definitely group therapy, because you're able, especially if it's like, hey, I want these themes in the game. Why? Don't worry about it. I'm not trying to work through stuff or anything.
Yeah, I know. Oh god, there's like, okay, I don't want to get too deep into it, because like I don't want to fill the podcast with, whoa, Mr. Island is a pitiful human being. But I've noticed that my character, and I didn't realize to what extent she did this, but she is showing a lot of the stuff that I'm feeling. And I remember I was just role playing one night, and we called it, and everybody went to bed, and I was logging off, and I laid down in bed, and I was like, oh my god, I'm putting a lot of myself into my character right now. And I'm like, did I intentionally do this? Did I unintentionally do this? That's helped out tremendously.
I think that's something that you can't avoid when you're role playing, especially if it's something that's longer form. Is
right.
You are always going to be like, your character is part of yourself, and you only have your own experiences to project that character through.
I was just thinking about this because, like, okay, so there's a concept of the in the IC line and the out of the in and what am I trying to say here? There is a concept of the in character and out of character line, where you don't bring out of character stuff in character, and vice versa. Like, you don't take things that happened in game out of game.
Like there have been times in game where like me and I think it was you and I had like some really antagonistic in character stuff going on, and I think someone like stopped us. Like, are we okay? And we both look at him like, no, let's keep going, please. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
No, we're fine. But I've begun to reconsider my whole stance on that, because I was originally thinking like that line is a hard line and you do not cross it. But now I'm considering that line isn't as solid as you may think it is, and that things in character do come from out of character. I mean, it has to come from somewhere, and I've become to accept that it's okay for characters to have a little bit of the players inside of them. Like at first, I was like, this is a hard limit, and none of myself should be inside my character. It should all be me role playing a character and never ever letting Dustin inside this one being. And then I noticed that my character was portraying a lot of the emotions I felt, and I was working through my pain through my character, and I feel so much better. But I just been considering that line a lot more lately and thinking to myself, maybe it's not such a bad.
Yeah, so I always kind of assumed the characters were going to be a bit of me. So I've always, or I shouldn't say always, but definitely a lot in the last few years tried to kind of like come up with a cool concept and then be like, okay, personality wise, I'm going to grab a piece of mine, but just like a small piece of my own personality, and just say, this is them. That small piece of my personality is exaggerated, and now this is them. Like the podcast we did with Kids on Bikes, Donald. I took my like inner like anxiety and worry and stuff like that I experienced. It's not too bad. Like I have it pretty good under control. But with Donald, I've taken that anxiety and worry about things and like trying to be safe about things and all that, and just said that is Donald. I exaggerated that super like way too much. He's a coward. He's like super concerned about anything bad happening. He doesn't want anybody to get hurt around him. He doesn't want to get hurt. So if something's bad happening around him, he's gonna like start stressing out so much. And I just kind of took, and that a little bit like that is me, but I'm a little bit on the inside as opposed to Donald, who is all that.
Right. Yeah. Have you found that it's helped you at all?
Yeah, I think it's helped me because it's also let me explore that part of myself a little more fully. Like I think I had it was like a one shot that I played in D&D. I was playing as a it was kind of like a very flamboyant sorcerer, and I kind of like made them very artsy. And they wanted everything to be beautiful. And I kind of found that was good for exploring a bit of my like artistic side.
It's actually funny that you started doing this because so my character, Calipers, her full name is Runs with Calipers. It's a joke off of Elder Scrolls 4, where there's calipers all over the game, but in Skyrim there's no calipers anywhere. There's a joke about it somewhere, and it's like the play on Runs with Scissors, but runs with calipers. Anyways, so she has a hard time expressing herself through articulately through talking to people. She is very sarcastic, and she wants to be people's friends, but she doesn't know how to. She also has she's also a bit on the spectrum where she has things to her are loud, if that makes sense. Like she has this buzzing, she calls it a buzzing, and there's like this buzzing in her head, and in order to get rid of this buzzing, she has to focus in on one character or one person and study them. And what happens is after she is done studying this person like almost inside and out, it's a really weird way of saying stalking, she writes a poem. I have written so many poems. I have written, hold on, I have my page right here. I have 17 pages worth of poems for all these different characters that she studied. I have never written poetry in my life, and I've never been. It's not something I've ever been interested in. It's not something I've ever really wanted to do. I love listening to people do spoken word poetry, but I've never been interested in doing it myself. And she started doing it, and now I'm just like, I love poems. I actually just picked up a couple of poem books recently, just because I wanted to read them.
Yeah, the I think the one shot character, the sorcerer that I was talking about, that kind of got a little artsy with me. I realized I wanted to convey the beauty of things that they created, worked on, or the beauty of their magic, or the what they were wearing. And I was like, I'm not great at that, so I basically ended up working at and practicing ways to describe things better. And I noticed that that's something else that I've gotten better at in the last few years as I've run games more and more. Is if you're in the middle of a combat, like in a tabletop RPG, and it's just like, okay, you hit this guy, does 16 points of damage. Yeah, he's hurt a bit. Next turn, it's a little boring to like. It's like sometimes it's good to just keep things moving along like that, but there are other times where it's just like you swing your sword, leave a big old gash across this person's chest, and they reel back for a moment, but they still seem to have some. They still have the strength to keep fighting. That's a lot more exciting sounding than you did 16 points of damage.
Right. Yeah.
I've also encouraged players to describe how they've finished off enemies.
Oh, that's cool. I've been wanting to do for the channel like a segment where we take like a video game, like let's take Subnautica, and we take a simple scene from Subnautica, whether it's like them first leaving the initial sub and seeing the world around them or whatnot. And I've just been wanting to be like, okay, let's describe this scene as many different times as we possibly can, and let's like start with the waves, and let's describe the waves, or let's describe the ocean in its entirety, or the ship in the background, just to help us learn how to articulate this a little bit better, to create a vivid picture for the other players. And it's something I've always been interested in doing. I don't know if I'll ever get around to doing it at the moment, but it's something I would like to do.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, especially when you just pick like random games and just like or like take a lower quality game and be like, what do you see here that isn't specifically shown in this game, but you see it anyway?
Right. We've been talking for like an hour and a half now.
Do we need to pause Craig or break this up at some point?
Yeah, we probably should. I was gonna actually ask you if you had any parting wisdom for anybody who was like really interested in getting into being a DM.
Oh, if you want to be a DM, just do it. Just do it. Like, I know it's like it seems like a lot of work. And like you feel like you're unprepared. Nobody is prepared. I still look up rules. I still get stuff wrong all the time. I've been doing it forever. I still have social goof ups sometimes as well. Or like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done this thing. Like I fudged a roll and at some point like a while ago, and they're just like, "Oh, are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was a fudge in the like, I'm helping the players out a little bit, but they're just like, "Are you sure?" Because that doesn't seem like it should have worked out that way. And I'm just like, "No, don't worry about it."
Just let it happen. Just let it happen.
it is fine, especially if you're with a group of people playing that know you're new and are okay with you being new. Just like let them know like you're not super great at the rules. You're not or you struggle with a few things. I don't do character voices very well. So
hold on. I gotta say, hold on. That's a lie, because we voice acted an entire game of Monster High, or was it Monster Prom or Monster? What was it called?
It was Monster Prom.
Monster Prom. We voice acted an entire game of Monster Prom. You, I, and Choi.
For
not
fun.
too long ago.
Just for fun.
No. It was more than fun. It was exhilarating. Okay, and you did just fine.
Well, I don't think I do character voices very well, so I don't do them very often in D&D. So usually it's just inflection differences, but anyway, the best way to become a good DM is to be a bad DM, and then just be better as you learn the things that make you better as you do it.
I've always just taken a stance of I'm here to let players have fun, and as long as I do that, I should be okay. I try to stick to the rules as best as I can, but like I said earlier in the episode, like I'll fudge rules, I'll fudge dice all the time just to make sure that people are teetering right on the edge of their seats, like, oh my god, I'm about to die or not, or whatever. That's my secret. I bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I make stuff up a lot too, but the I guess the one like best quote I have is the wise words of Jake the dog. Being bad at something is the first step in being really good at something.
I just said that to someone the other day. Like, I'm not even joking. I just said that unironically to someone the other day.
I mean, it's a good quote. Like, it's one of those, like, I love cartoons, and sometimes there's just bits of life wisdom that, like, yeah, that's actually good advice.
Yeah, they're right. All right, well, Jack, thank you for coming on the podcast. I hopefully will have this done in a couple of days, man.
Oh man, we should. I want to do this again because I feel like there's a lot more stuff that we could go over.
Yeah, I'll bring you back on. I have now that I'm doing this again, I actually have a list of people who are interested, and I'm more than happy to re-add you to the list and get you back on. Because I mean, I'm never gonna say no to you, Jack. Like, you're one of my best friends, and we've been through so much together, and you're like one of the only other people I can talk to, who I can be like, role playing is such an important part of my life, and here's the reason why, and you can understand that reason. Like, I don't have, hold on, off the top of my head, Maddie, Cole, Krissa, you. Out of all the people I've known in my life who can understand how important role-playing is to me and how much it's helped change me and make me feel okay about myself, if that makes sense. It's helped me understand more about myself.
It makes perfect sense because you're exploring yourself through the actions of, there's like a layer of disconnect where you're able to like explore something, but because it's not happening to you directly, you don't have to work through it so much, but like it kind of seeps in through that character barrier.
I agree.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, I agree. You want to go play Phasmophobia?
Yes.